Last week, we drew the whole machine, 10 boxes, one social posting system. This week, we pour the foundation, the data layer, and the one move that makes everything built on top of it trustworthy. Here's the promise up front. I rename one column in the database, and every place in the code that still uses the old name lights up red, instantly, before it ever ships. One source of truth from the schema all the way to the client. Let me show you how it's wired. Start with the problem this whole episode solves. Most teams describe their data twice, once in the database and once in a handwritten type in the code. The day those two disagree, you have drift. Rename a column in the schema, and the handwritten type still claims the old name exists. TypeScript is happy. Your tests are happy. And then a real request comes in, the field is undefined, and the page falls over. In production, where it costs the most. The fix is to stop writing the second copy. The schema in the database is the source of truth, so generate the types from it. One command reads your live schema and writes a TypeScript file describing every table, every column, every nullable field, exactly as the database sees it. You commit that file, and you wire the command into CI so it runs on every change. Now there's only ever one description of your data, and the computer keeps the copy in sync. Now we put those generated types to work. You give the database type to the data client one time, and from then on every query is checked against the real schema. Ask for a column that was renamed, it won't compile. Filter on the wrong type, it won't compile. And what comes back isn't some loose object you have to describe yourself, it's a fully typed row, inferred straight from the schema. You keep these reads in a few small data access functions, your typed front door to the database. And it's not just reads. The writes are typed too, and this is the half people forget. When you insert or update a row, the payload is checked against generated insert and update types. Miss a column the schema requires, send a number where it wants text, or typo a field name, and it simply won't compile. The whole category of bug where you ship a malformed write and find out from a 400 in the logs, that moves left, into the editor, where you can't miss it. Now follow that typed row outward. Because the type is inferred rather than redeclared, it flows untouched, out of the query, through the data access function, all the way into the component that renders it. Nothing in the middle redescribes it. There's no second copy to drift. Hover the call site in your editor and you see the exact shape, sourced from the database 3 layers away. That unbroken line, schema to call site, is the whole point of the chain. And here's the payoff, the whole reason we did the work. Watch what happens when the schema changes. You rename the column, you regenerate, and because nothing in the chain redeclared the type, that one change propagates the entire length of it in a single step. Every place that used the old name lights up red, in the editor, in the build, all at once. That's the cascade from the cold open. Not a runtime crash in production, but a compile error, right in front of you, the moment you make the change. Be honest about where the chain frays, because it does. Stored procedures, RPCs, can return shapes the generator can't fully see. JSON columns come back as a deliberately loose type, because their contents are dynamic by design. And anytime you write as, you're telling the compiler to trust you instead of checking. None of these are bugs, they're escape hatches. The rule is to make them rare, name them, and validate at the hatch. Because right there, for those few lines, you are the type checker the rest of the system relies on. So name the trade out loud, the way we do every week. This isn't free. You've coupled yourself to a generation step. It has to run in CI, and a forgotten regenerate is its own small bug. That's the ceremony. What you get back is a guarantee that no amount of discipline gives you by hand. The database and the code physically cannot drift apart without the build telling you. For a system that has to run on its own for weeks, that trade is worth making every single time. So that's the spine. The schema is the source, the types are generated, and the chain runs unbroken from the database to the call site, enforced by the compiler, not by hope. That's the data layer, lit. Next week, we connect the outside world. OAuth, how the machine talks to the platforms it posts to. See you Wednesday.